Why do local music shows start so late in the evening? Wouldn't it make more sense to start them earlier in the evening? That way people have more time to be out, or maybe even catch the happy hour crowd that's hanging out? Let's talk about that. Welcome to Coffee Talk at the Drum Shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma, brought to you by our friends at Dynamic Audio and, of course, the ever-fabulous Cafe Bustelo. Why do local music shows start at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night? It's something that's perplexed me for quite some time. If national and international acts and concerts start at 7 or 8 o'clock p.m., why are local music shows starting so late? One school of thought might be that if the band plays later, the bar or venue will stay busier into the evenings. I see a lot of people leaving at that 12:30, 1 o'clock hour, and nobody's staying past that. Maybe it's because everybody's aging out. By that I mean those that were really into being out in nightclubs and venues and listening to live music, maybe now they've got kids, maybe now they've got grandkids, and staying out late just isn't really a thing anymore. We have friends that are tied to a lot of local bands, and I'm in 3 different local bands, so I get to see it from a lot of different perspectives. One band in particular has a very specific demographic, and they're running out of patrons, not because the band is not good, not because they don't draw, but because people are simply aging out and in some cases, unfortunately, passing away. That poses a very large problem with local music. Why aren't we starting earlier and capturing some of that crowd that's still in the bar or venue as we're setting up? Earlier this year, I saw an article that was written by somebody in Canada in particular that was talking about their local shows are starting at 7 p.m. That could be local original acts, local cover shows, whatever the case may be. And they're finding that attendance is greater because it gives people more time to do what they want with their evening. So you figure a show from 7 to 11 still gives people 2 hours, 3 hours of time to go out and do other things or decide to stay in the bar. And maybe you've run into this. Maybe you as a musician in a local band have run into this. You go to set up at 7 o'clock, 7:30, and you hear somebody out from the audience. Hey, you guys in the band? Yeah, actually, man, I am in the band. Oh, what time do you guys start? 9:30. Man, I'll be home in bed by then. Or, maybe I'll come back and check you guys out. I'm on my way out the door now. Like, there's so many different reasons why somebody may or may not come back at 9:30 or 10 o'clock to see a show. Maybe it's during the week. Maybe they've got plans in the morning. Maybe they're an athlete and they've got something that they're training for. There could be any number of reasons why people don't want to stay out that late anymore, but it is something that's happening. And younger people aren't coming out as often to see live music. They're not hanging out in bars as much anymore. Well, that poses a problem for the venues and the bands because now we're not able to garner that new crowd. We're not able to gain those new listeners or fans. Is it because we're resorting to YouTube maybe that we're losing that live music feel? Is it because now there's so many content creators like myself and gazillions of others that people are able to get their music from that is preventing live music from happening at a local level? I don't know, but it is something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be discussed, and it's something that can prove very grave consequences for everybody involved, not just for your local venue, not for your local band, but the music instrument people, the retailers, the people that make the instruments that sell. I mean, there's so many things that are tied to this conundrum of why people aren't staying out any later. It's something that we need to talk about. Well, what do you think? Have you guys noticed? Have you guys been to a show and noticed that it clears out at 11:30, 12, 12:30? Have you noticed a sharp decline in overall attendance in live music venues? What do you think about starting a show at 7 o'clock? Catching that happy hour crowd, or starting earlier and giving people more time to do other things? I'd love to hear your comments, and maybe we try it. Maybe there's a couple venues that are in your local town or here in Tulsa that might be willing to give it a shot. What's the worst that's going to happen? You still get the same amount of crowd and you still get the same amount of people? I don't know, but it is something that we should talk about. Something else that popped into my head is the transient nature of maybe bar goers nowadays. Maybe they're going bar to bar to bar and they're no longer really dedicating themselves to one venue for all of their fun. Maybe they'll stay in this bar for an hour, maybe they go to that bar for an hour. Whatever the case may be, there is a decline in attendance in venues everywhere that I've seen in Tulsa, not just the ones that I play in, but others that I visit and check out. But again, what are your thoughts? Tell me your comments. Let's get this out on the table so we can start talking about it. I'd really like to come up with a solution that works for everybody, not just us as bands, but also venues. I don't necessarily think anything is failing. I just think there has to be something different. There has to be a new change. There has to be some new perspective that we can take as a community, both at the music level and at the venue level, of let's bring about something new. Let's try and shake things up. Maybe that discussion needs to happen. If you're a bar owner, let's talk about it. If you're a band, let's talk about it. If you're a singer-songwriter, let's talk about what's going on. And maybe we can come to some sort of understanding that works for everybody. You know, this year alone, we lost 3 music venues. Why? Why did we lose them? Poor attendance? Maybe. Bands not doing their job? Maybe. Maybe the lack of overall attendance to live music in general is causing that. And I only say that because when a show happens at BOK, for example, tickets are $200, $300, $400 for an event and it's sold out. How does that happen? But yet in a town that's so rich with music, and why are people so reluctant to come out? Why are people so reluctant to support the local music communities? Again, I don't have the answers, but it is something that we need to talk about. Well, that wraps up this episode of Coffee Talk at the Drum Shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I really appreciate you hanging out, and I would really like to hear your thoughts and comments on this topic. Go ahead and leave them in the section below. You know the drill. You know that there's going to be a subscribe button. There's another subscribe button down there, and like it, share it. Share it with bar owners, share it with bands that you know, but let's open this up to discussion. I really appreciate your time and your support. Have a great day. Bye for now.